Hello and welcome. This is skill 4 and we will talk about ranking. Now at the screen you can see a multiple graph. It consists of a bar graph and a table. So the bar graph shows the leading importing countries of apparel worldwide. Apparel is the same as clothes, and worldwide means in the entire world, globally. The table over here compares apparel market revenues in 2018-2021. Revenues is income, so how much money this apparel market made in those years. At the screen now you can see the report, and as usually we are going to discuss this report in detail, starting with the introduction. In the introductory phrase, I have used the word lists. It is a verb here, and the meaning is make a list of. And this is exactly what's happening here. There is a list of leading importing countries. Another option that you can use for these situations, when you're talking about rankings, you can use the phrase presents a ranking of. So in our case, it would be the bar chart presents a ranking of leading importing countries. Instead of the word show, I have used the word compares. We have seen it many times. It's a very handy option for paraphrasing. The phrase in 2020, I have slightly changed like this, in the year 2020. Another possible option is here, as of 2020. I have used both of them in the introduction. Here we are dealing with two graphs, and in my introductory phrase I need to introduce them, to present both of them, and this linking word over here, while, is a very good option to do that. So the meaning of while is at the same time or and. Now at the screen you can see three synonyms of the word revenue. So once again, the table tells us about revenues, and revenues is how much money the market made. So in other words, you can say income or earnings, and I have used all of them in this little paragraph. We're moving on. The next paragraph is first body paragraph, which is about the bar graph. So if your report is about countries, you can use the word region, as I did. Again, the bar graph is about imports, importing countries, and of course we will have to use this word, I'm talking about import, several times. In this paragraph, I have highlighted different ways of using the word import, and even though it seems that it's the same word, every time it is used in a different way, so we can say that we are paraphrasing it. The word import can be used as a noun, it can be used as a verb, and we can also make an adjective, importing. So let's have a look together. The European Union imported more clothes, imported as a verb here. With the value of imports, the value of imports, imports is noun, and it is actually plural noun. The second largest importing country, importing as an adjective here. Next is imports of Japan and United Kingdom. Imports as a noun, and again it's plural here. Finally, Bangladesh made imports. So I'm combining the word make, made, and imports, made imports. The same will work if you're writing about exports. In the bar graph, we are talking about imports, and there are a few countries like European Union, USA, Vietnam, and so on. And there is a corresponding number, figure for imports. So we will have to talk about these numbers. How? Well, for that we can use the word value. Value has multiple meanings, and in our reports we can use at least two meanings of this word. So the first is cost or price. And if we look at this example here, with the value of imports of 87 billion US dollars, so the value here means cost. So this is one way to paraphrase figures, numbers. Another very useful way to talk about numbers, cost in our case, is to use the word figure. And as you can see here, one of the meanings of value is figure or number. So in this sentence, while that figure in both Canada and Republic of Korea, we can actually say while that value in both Canada and Republic of Korea. Another way to talk about numbers is to use the word worth. It can be used as an adjective or as a noun, and I would like to show you more examples. So let's start with worth as an adjective. Here you can see a few examples. Imports worth 5 billion euro, or jewelry worth $100, or petrochemicals worth 700 million. The sentence that I have used in the report is also here. Bangladesh made imports worth 9 billion US dollars. Another example about the USA. The USA bought corn worth $100 million. So the pattern is the same. We can talk about imports, exports, or we can talk about a specific product like jewelry or corn or petrochemicals. So this word is actually quite useful. This word can also be used as a noun. And again, there are a few examples here. Let's have a look together. Vietnam imported approximately 16 billion US dollars worth of apparel. So the word is the same, but the structure, the pattern is slightly different. For some of you, this structure can be a bit confusing, but if you read all of these examples, you will find out that it's the same structure. So you mention the number first, in this case, the amount of money, 16 billion US dollars. And then you say worth of, and you mention the product. Please carefully read the examples if the structure is new. So again, there are different ways of talking about numbers, costs, prices, amounts of imports or exports, and you can see them all at the screen now. Finally, the shortest paragraph in this report is the last paragraph, which corresponds to the table. In this paragraph, I have used the word range between. It is a verb, and we have already seen this word in our previous report. So this word is very useful for grouping information. Let's have a look at the table. So we only have 4 years here, and we see that 3 numbers are very similar. So the only number which is kind of different, which stands out, is the number for 2020. But the rest, the remaining 3 numbers, I have grouped using the word ranged. So clothes market revenues ranged between roughly this number and this number in 2018, 2019 and 2021. There are 3 years that I have united, grouped, using the verb range between. And 2020 is in the second part, whereas a decline to this number was recorded in 2020. I have used the word whereas. Whereas is used here to show the contrast. And again, I would like to draw your attention to the correct use of this word within a complex sentence. And here is incorrect use. So this is wrong. Do not split the sentence like this. In this paragraph, I have used this word was recorded in 2020. So the meaning is clear, it means happened, or there was a decline, and this phrase is very useful for statistics like this, so it can be used in reports in IELTS Writing Task 1. The skill of this lesson is describing rankings, and now we're going to talk about different ways to do it. First, let's talk about how we can talk about the leader. In our bar graph, there is an obvious leader, which is European Union, and the value of imports was 87. So here there are different ways how we can express this idea. So EU was the largest importer. If you are talking about consumption, you can say consumer, or maybe seller in a different situation, or exporter. It will totally depend on the graph. You can also mention the figure like this. So it would be EU was the largest importer with 87 billion US dollars. Next, you can say EU was the top largest importer. You can say the leading importer, or the first in the ranking of countries. You can also say EU was the top ranked global apparel importer. Another very good way to present information is like here. So the value of imports of EU amounted to 87, which made this region the first in the ranking of countries. So why is this option good? Well, because this is a complex sentence, so you mention the figure and then you kind of comment on this figure. And not only is this sentence coherent and logical, but also it is grammatically complex. Another option is in that year the ranking was dominated by EU, and again you can present the figure after that. Finally, there is another option. In 2020, EU alone imported more apparel than any other region. You have a variety of options to write about leaders. Next, let's talk about the second position in the list. In our case, this is the USA, and we can say that USA was the second largest importer, or USA followed as the second largest importer. We can say USA followed on the list with 45 billion US dollars. And another way to present this kind of information is like this. EU was the top largest importer with 87. This was followed by USA with 45. It is also possible to combine information about 2 or 3 leading countries. In our case, this is European Union and USA, like this. EU and USA were the largest importers of clothes with figure and figure respectively. Yet another option. So this is how I presented the information about the leading country in my report. In 2020, the European Union imported more clothes than any other region. Then I named the figure with the value of imports of 87 billion US dollars. And then I made a comparison of this figure, 87 billion, with the next figure, 45 billion. So not only did I make a comparison, a relevant comparison, but also this comparison kind of shows a transition between 2 pieces of information, between 2 countries, the leading and the second leading importer. When we are talking about third country, fourth, fifth, and so on, we can go with these options here. So Vietnam, comma, ranked third, comma, imported $16 billion worth of apparel. Alternatively, we can say Vietnam was ranked as the third leading clothes importing country. Instead of third, you can say fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. And here you can see 2 more options that you can use if you are dealing with rankings. And actually, I do like these options because both of them are more complex, less common. And both of these sentences are complex sentences. As well as that, the sentences are coherent, logical, and also grammatically complex. So it's a double plus. Let's talk about grouping. We have already seen all of these ways of grouping information. So definitely use the word respectively. If you are talking about 2, 3, or even 4 countries, in our case. The word ranged between is also very handy, also very good for grouping. And another little way to group information is using both and. And here we are talking about the same number, 6 and 6. So imports in both Canada and Korea stood at $6 billion. Now we have talked about different ways to write about rankings, and now you can see all of them highlighted at the screen. Alright, that's it for this lesson, and in our next video we will talk about how to write about parts of the total. I'll see you there.